Overnight, global markets and policymakers are bracing for a sharper energy shock after U.S. President Donald Trump announced a naval blockade of the Strait of Hormuz following failed Iran talks. The Financial Times says oil prices are expected to rise as hopes fade of a deal to reopen the waterway, with a blockade threat widely treated as an escalation that could further tighten supply. The BBC notes the move raises risks without resolving the underlying predicament, turning the conflict into a test of endurance between Iran's capacity to absorb pressure and Washington's tolerance for the costs. In Iran, SBS reports renewed concern about repression, with accounts of protesters being beaten and subjected to mock executions, while Al Jazeera reports Iranian authorities remain defiant and are urging supporters to stay in the streets. Elsewhere in global conflict, Israel has launched a new wave of strikes across southern Lebanon, with Al Jazeera reporting at least 13 killed and rescuers digging through rubble. In Europe, the BBC reports Ukraine and Russia are accusing each other of hundreds of ceasefire violations, with Kyiv signaling it will respond symmetrically to attacks. In Africa, the BBC and Al Jazeera carry reports of a deadly strike on a market area in northeastern Nigeria, with Amnesty International alleging more than 100 killed. Nigeria's Air Force has not addressed the specific claims. The BBC also reports at least 30 feared dead in a crush at a Haitian tourist event. On the technological revolution, space exploration is back in focus, with SBS reporting the Artemis Roman 2 crew being welcomed home after a historic lunar flyby, underscoring accelerating investment and competition in advanced aerospace capabilities. In energy technology, ABC highlights that solar power is forecast to overtake coal as the world's biggest source of electricity next year, revisiting the role of an Australian inventor behind key solar panel advances, an important reminder of how innovation and manufacturing capacity shape the next phase of the global economy. Turning to Australia, the Albanese government is moving again on fuel security. The Conversation reports the Prime Minister will make a second fuel security trip to Asia, traveling to Brunei and Malaysia to further shore up supply, an agenda now made more urgent by Hormuz-related risks and potential price spikes. On domestic economic policy, ABC reports Australia could make childcare free, but definitely won't nationalize the sector, arguing the politics and delivery constraints make that unlikely. The piece points instead to Canada-style reforms as a more feasible pathway. For the Australian Public Service, the immediate implication is administrative capacity. Any major childcare redesign would require sustained program management, funding oversight, and workforce coordination across jurisdictions. In the region, ABC also reports on North Korea's leadership dynamics, focusing on the extraordinary rise of Kim Jong-un's teenage daughter, Kim Joo-hee, who is being tipped by some as a potential successor, an indicator of uncertainty in a nuclear-armed state. Locally, ABC reports new detail in the disappearance of Belgian backpacker Celine Kremer in Tasmania, including analysis of 45 phone pings that traced her last known steps, reflecting the growing role of digital forensics, volunteer networks, and online investigators in missing person cases. Separately, ABC reports on a recycling project turning used tennis balls into shoes, a small but practical example of circular economy innovation. In sport, the Sydney Morning Herald reports St Kilda held off Port Adelaide to win by 14 points to close gather round, in a match that also featured a heated on-field clash that drew attention.